Every war in the last 50 years was supposed to be the last one. Mission accomplished, peace achieved, democracy spread, and yet here we are, more troops deployed, more bombs dropped, more contracts signed. War is not a failure of policy. War is the policy. You see, there's a reason why conflicts that should end in months stretch into decades. There's a reason why victory is always just around the corner, but never quite arrives. Follow the money trail, because someone is getting rich, someone is getting powerful, and that someone is not you. Today we're going to expose the machinery behind forever wars, the contracts, the lobbyists, the revolving doors, the convenient enemies that appear just when the last one is defeated. The business model requires endless conflict. By the end of this video, you'll understand why peace is bad for business and war is the product that keeps on selling. The profit engine. Here's a number they don't want you to think about. $886 billion. That's the U.S. defense budget for 2024. Not healthcare, not education, not infrastructure, defense. But here's what's fascinating. That money doesn't disappear into some government vault. It flows directly into the pockets of private corporations. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, the Big Five. These aren't just companies. War is a racket. It always has been. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. Butler said that in 1935, almost a century ago, and nothing has changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. These defense contractors don't just sell weapons. They sell the need for weapons. They fund think tanks that warn about emerging threats. They lobby Congress for bigger budgets. They hire former generals to sit on their boards. Money creates war. War creates money. The cycle never breaks because breaking it would be bad for shareholders. But this leads us to something even more disturbing. Revolving doors. Let me tell you about the most lucrative career path in Washington. Step 1, work at the Pentagon. Step 2, award contracts to defense companies. Step 3, retire from the Pentagon. Step 4, get hired by the same companies you just enriched. This isn't corruption. This is legal. They call it the revolving door. Between 2008 and 2018, over 380 high-ranking Pentagon officials and military officers went to work for defense contractors. The fox guards the henhouse. These aren't random mid-level bureaucrats. These are the people who decided which weapons to buy, which wars to fight, which threats were real. And now they cash checks from the companies that sold those weapons. James Mattis was on the board of General Dynamics before becoming Secretary of Defense. Mark Esper was a Raytheon lobbyist before running the Pentagon. This is normal. This is expected. Hit like and subscribe to keep exposing what they hide, because what comes next connects all the dots. You see, when the same people who profit from war are the ones who decide whether we go to war, what do you think happens? Peace becomes a career risk. And speaking of career risks, there's a system designed to make sure everyone stays quiet. The lobby machine. In 2023, the defense industry spent $140 million on lobbying. That's just what they reported. That money buys access. It buys influence. It buys votes. Every single member of Congress has a defense contractor in their district. Every single one. This isn't accidental. It's strategy. Jobs are the currency of political survival. When Lockheed Martin builds the F-35, they don't build it in one place. They spread production across 46 states. Why? Because now 46 states have jobs that depend on that program. Try cutting the F-35 budget and watch what happens. Senators who disagree on everything else suddenly unite to protect their local defense jobs. This is how the lobby machine works. They made ending war politically impossible. It's not about buying politicians directly. It's about creating a system where opposing military spending means opposing jobs. Opposing jobs means losing elections. Losing elections means losing power. So everyone plays along. Everyone signs the checks, and the machine keeps running. But here's where it gets truly sinister. The money doesn't just buy politicians. Manufacturing fear. Have you noticed how there's always a new enemy? Just when one threat is neutralized, another emerges. Soviet Union collapses. Here comes terrorism. Terrorism wanes. Here comes ISIS. ISIS falls. Here comes China. Here comes Russia again. Here comes Iran. Enemies are products sold to you. The defense industry doesn't just sell weapons. It sells fear. Think tanks funded by Raytheon and Lockheed publish reports about emerging threats. Cable news amplifies them. Politicians cite them. And suddenly, everyone agrees we need more missiles, more ships, more soldiers. The whole aim of practical politics is to keep the populace alarmed by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins. This was written in 1918, over a century ago. The playbook hasn't changed because it works. Fear is the most effective sales pitch ever invented. When you're afraid, you don't ask questions. You don't demand audits. You just sign the check and hope someone protects you. Fear sells, and business is booming. But manufacturing fear requires a very specific ingredient that most people never think about: the intelligence gap. Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. We were told this by intelligence agencies, by government officials, by trusted news sources. We invaded, we found nothing. No weapons, no program, no threat. Hundreds of thousands dead, trillions spent. The intelligence was wrong, but the war was still right. That was the argument. The same agencies that failed to predict 9/11 were trusted to justify the war. The same agencies funded by defense contractors. The same agencies staffed by people who would later work for those contractors. Coincidence? Here's the pattern. Intelligence is classified. You can't verify it. You can't challenge it. You just have to trust. Trust the people who profit from your fear. And when they are wrong, when hundreds of thousands die for nothing, there are no consequences. No one goes to jail. No one loses their job. They just move to the next enemy, the next threat, the next war. Paper claims, unverifiable threats, real deaths. This brings us to something even darker: the places where these wars actually happen. Proxy playgrounds. The most profitable wars are the ones America doesn't officially fight. Ukraine, Syria, Yemen, Libya. These are proxy wars. America provides the weapons, the intelligence, the funding. Someone else provides the bodies. Their blood our profit. It's genius, really. All the revenue of war with none of the political cost. No American flags on coffins. No angry voters. Just steady streams of weapons flowing to conflict zones that conveniently never stabilize. In Yemen, American weapons have been used in airstrikes that killed thousands of civilians. American companies sold those weapons to Saudi Arabia. American politicians approved those sales. Nations have no permanent friends or allies. They only have permanent interests. And the interest is profit, always profit. These proxy wars create perfect conditions for weapons manufacturers. Constant low-level conflict, endless consumption of ammunition, regular equipment replacement. It's a subscription model for death. Peace would cancel the subscription, so peace must never arrive. But even proxy wars need support systems, and that's where it gets interesting. The base network. The United States has over 750 military bases in at least 80 countries. No other nation comes close. China has maybe 5. Russia has about 20. America has 750. Why? They'll tell you it's for defense, for protecting allies, for maintaining peace. Bases are not defense. They are infrastructure. Every base needs supplies, equipment, maintenance, personnel, contractors. Private companies run dining facilities, provide security, handle logistics. KBR, Din Corp, Blackwater, names you've heard. Companies that made billions from these bases. 1. Each base creates permanent revenue streams. 2. Local economies become dependent on military spending. 3. Closing bases means losing jobs and political support. 4. The network perpetuates itself. It's the same playbook as defense production spread across 46 states. Spread the money around. Create dependencies. Make the system impossible to dismantle. Every base is a node in this network. Every node generates profit. Every profit creates incentive to maintain the network. Everywhere, The sun never sets on American military infrastructure, and someone is always getting paid. But the bases are just the beginning of the private contractor story. Private armies. At the height of the Iraq War, there were more private contractors in the country than U.S. soldiers. More. These weren't just cooks and mechanics. They were armed security, combat roles, intelligence operations, private armies operating with minimal oversight and maximum profit. Accountability dies in the shadows. When contractors committed crimes in Iraq, they couldn't be prosecuted under Iraqi law. They couldn't be prosecuted under U.S. military law. They existed in a legal void. Blackwater contractors killed 17 Iraqi civilians in Nisr Square. It took years to bring any charges. The company just rebranded, became Z. Then Academy. Same people, same business, new name. One of the things that's changed most dramatically in modern warfare is the rise of the private military industry. This privatization serves multiple purposes. It hides the true cost of war. It shields politicians from casualty counts. It generates profit outside public scrutiny. Soldiers become dollars, become ghosts. No one counts contractor deaths in the official toll. No one asks about contractor crimes. The privatization of war makes accountability impossible by design. And this brings us to how they keep it going. Endless enemies. Here's the part that should make you angry. America armed the Mujahideen in Afghanistan to fight the Soviets. Those fighters became the Taliban. America armed Saddam Hussein to fight Iran, then invaded Iraq to remove him. America trained Syrian rebels who joined ISIS, then spent billions fighting ISIS. We create our enemies. This isn't incompetence. This is a business model. Every enemy America creates becomes the justification for the next war. Every weapon America provides eventually points back at American soldiers, and the same companies profit from both transactions. The war is not meant to be won. It is meant to be continuous. Orwell wrote that as fiction. It became reality. The global war on terror has lasted over 20 years. It has cost over $8 trillion. It has created more terrorists than it has killed. And it continues. Every gun that is made represents a theft from those who hunger and are not fed. Eisenhower was a general, a president. He knew. He warned us. We didn't listen. But there's one more piece to understand: how they make sure this never changes. Breaking the cycle. They call anyone who questions this a traitor, unpatriotic, naive about the real world. But look at what patriotism has bought us. 20 years in Afghanistan followed by complete collapse. Iraq destroyed and still burning. Libya in chaos. Syria in ruins. Trillions spent that could have rebuilt every bridge, school, and hospital in America. The real enemies are those who profit from your fear. The system depends on your ignorance, on your trust, on your willingness to believe that every war is necessary, every enemy is real, every sacrifice is worth it. Question everything, trust nothing. The first step to breaking the cycle is seeing it clearly, following the money, asking who benefits, demanding accountability from those who send others to die while they cash checks. Awaken. This isn't about being anti-military. It's about being anti-exploitation. The soldiers who serve believe in something. The executives who profit believe in nothing but the bottom line. Once you see the machinery, you can't unsee it. And that's when change becomes possible. So there it is. The business of forever wars. A self-sustaining system where conflict generates profit, profit funds influence, influence creates more conflict. In war, truth is the first casualty. The Greeks knew this 2,500 years ago. The pattern is ancient. Only the scale has changed. Defense contractors, lobbyists, think tanks, intelligence agencies, media outlets, all connected, all feeding each other, all dependent on your fear and your silence. Peace is bad for business, but here's what they fear most: informed citizens who ask questions, who follow the money, who refuse to be scared into compliance. You now know more than most people will ever learn about why wars never end. The question is what you do with that knowledge. If you made it this far, comment follow the money if you see the pattern now. Every government lies. The question is, what are they lying about? The truth is out there. You just have to follow the money. Subscribe if you want to keep digging.